Um, I've not been around for like 10 days or so. So I just came back today. That's why I've not been online for quite a while.
Aha. Okay. Well,
So everything is okay,
good.
but we might have to extend a bit into next year because I don't feel we've covered enough within the 13 weeks that we are supposed to cover, which ends next week. Yeah, we've not yet covered enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Where are you, in a coffee shop or something?
No, no, I'm now back to Kisumu, so I'm just at Makeup, our community space that we normally operate from. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about that story then?
Yeah. So let me just share my screen.
Yep.
Screen sharing. Ooh. Start to share.
Okay, I can see your screen now.
Yeah. MetPlus tracker. Yep. You have to be a bit patient.
No problem. I can do patience if I am.
So it's not that clear, but let me just choose in progress. So see, growth is on 477.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this is what I chose. I remember the last time we talked, you suggested this for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So as a developer, I want to fix bug in job seekers address attribute. So the first suggestion, he's called Genui or Genui or how do you pronounce this name?
Well, that's her actual name is Tong Wei.
Oh, it's Tongwei.
Tong Wei. You probably have seen her on a call maybe sometime. But anyway,
Yeah.
Tong Wei.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So the first suggestion was we establish a polymorphic association between the job seeker and the address. The second one was to edit the job seeker controller to ensure that the fields are visible at the registration form. So I didn't quite get how I could reproduce these. So I asked for more information. Then currently, this is what he said. Currently, the job seeker's address attribute is not well tested, so the test needs to be added. But currently, the relationship of the job seeker's address is a bit screwed up. If you open that, if you ask for the address, that's how much how much processing is being done just to get the address. Yeah, for the last job seeker. Then the suggestion is that we should have it look like this. It doesn't have to go through so many searches to get to the finding.
Okay, so what's happening here? Company that last address is last. Okay.
Bali masiku. Popo. Niambie chanje na jinsi uko hapa.
Hey, Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was supposed to do, but I tried looking at single polymorphic association. I didn't really get it right because we have one-to-one association. Because the job seeker has one address, I could not really map the polymorphism in that.
Yeah, polymorphism means that in this case the address model can be belonged to by other models, and each time the belong to occurs, the address model itself has to know which other object it's associated with. So it's called polymorphic when the address model has to be an address for a company. It also has to be an address for a job seeker, an address for an agency branch. So within the address model, what happens is they add add a couple of fields. One is the name of the other side of the association. So it could be the job seeker would be the name of the other object that this particular address is associated with, and also the job seeker ID. So why don't I share my screen?
Okay.
Talk a little bit about that. Okay. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. So let's look at the address model. And look at
Okay. I think I can just stop sharing mine.
yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. So the address model itself will be associated with any other object that needs an address.
Yeah.
So we have different objects that need an address, such as job seeker, company, etc. So in order to allow this model to be shared, to share an association with other models that are different, we declare the fact that this particular model will have an ID of the other model, but we'll call that association location.
Location.
So everybody needs a location.
Yeah.
And we're going to call it polymorphic because that means that we can have a location association in this model with other types of models that are not related to each other. So polymorphic just means many to one, right?
Yeah.
That's all. So
polymorphic means many to one.
that's the intent here. So many other objects can share this
The same address.
this particular model, and the address model itself at the database level will figure out who am I shared with, because in the schema for the address table, these are added. So the location ID and the location type. So for some of the records in address table, location type will be job seeker.
Job seeker, yeah.
And the location ID will be the ID of the job seeker. For other records, location type will be company, and the location ID will be the ID of the company.
The ID of the company.
That address is associated with. So that's the whole idea about polymorphic associations. That's essentially what they allow us to do. So when we declare them, look at polymorphic, find polymorphic. Here's one. This one I was just looking at. Let's try. Where's the location? Oops, not the right one. Okay. So let's look at, not a good example, let me look at company. Company should have,
has many addresses as location.
yeah.
Like line 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This one here. So, yeah, essentially a company can have many addresses, not just one. We could have a has one or has many. But anyway, company has an address. Address is stored in the address table. Location type is going to be company. Location ID is going to be this company that has an address or more than one address. So that's what's going on here. So that's how you declare. You'd use the as location to establish the association with the other side, where the other side is a polymorphic object. But the polymorphic object says, hey, I'm an address, but when I link up with another object, I'm going to be known as location.
Location.
And everybody has to say, hook up with that address as location, because location is polymorphic.
It's polymorphic.
And I can share the address table with other unrelated objects using the polymorphic structure. So that's what's happening there.
Okay. So you said it has many addresses location. So I follow. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just to close out on that, what we would have to do in job seeker, rather than belongs to address, we have to do something like has one, because the job seeker only has one address, right?
Yeah.
Address as
Location.
location, exactly. And in fact, what I probably would want to do here is put dependent.
True. Dependent destroy.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I delete the job seeker, I want to delete the address associated with that.
The address, yeah.
Yeah. So let me comment out this guy. So that's basically how we do that. So I only have one address. By the way, the foreign key is in the address table. Belongs to says the foreign key would be here. But here, of course, the address is going to maintain the location ID, if you remember, as well as location type. So when I do this, I'll have a record in the address table that says location type is job seeker, and the location ID is the ID of the job seeker.
ID of the job seeker.
Yeah.
So does it mean for the job seeker we have to remove the location ID, or it still has to be there? Now that we coming from belongs to and going to has one.
Yeah. So we will have to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We absolutely will. So job seeker. So I guess we'll have to do a migration, huh? Yeah. Wait a minute. Where is the
job seeker? There you are.
Oh, there it is, of course.
Yeah, job seekers.
It's got to go.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. That's got to be part of the story then. The other thing when we declare it, we also want to do this accepted nested attributes form.
Accepted nested attributes.
What that allows us to do is that in the view associated with the job seeker, we can also collect attributes for the address for the job seeker using this accepts nested attributes for. So that would set up the fact that the view itself will now allow us to collect information regarding the address for the job seeker.
Okay, so accept nested attributes, it allows you to collect other information related to the current object that you're dealing with.
Yes, so the current object we're dealing with is company. Company has an association with another record, another model, and I can do accept nested attributes, which allows me to accept data for that other model associated with the current model here. So the view will accommodate entering data for that other model, doing that. And I should probably do these things. Should I do these things in an actual branch that I could push up so that you can have them available later?
Yeah, so that I can check them out later.
Let me see. So let's do that.
I think you just touched what you just did.
I did. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I was on my development branch, I want to create another. So this is
477.
Okay. I'll just call it Sugu 477 then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So what's the difference between stash apply and stash pop?
Okay. All right. So git stash apply just means all the stuff that's unsaved in my working directory gets put into the so-called stash, and it's no longer showing as unsaved changes. So I can change my branch without having to commit those or do away with them. And then when I changed, so I did that, that allowed me to go ahead and change my branch from development to this new branch. And then when I'm now on the new branch, I can now pull down those changes with git stash apply. So the latest change that I added to stash, which is that one file, will now be brought down and placed in this directory. So,
okay, so it's the same as git stash pop.
Exactly.
Okay.
Got it. So I'm on branch Sigu 477, and my status is I've got to change that file. Yeah, exactly. You got it. In fact, I've probably got, if I do get stash, what is it, list? I've probably got a bunch of stuff that I don't need in there anymore. Yeah, so I can get rid of a lot of that.
Okay.
So, I can get rid of a lot of that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So all that is in the stash.
Yeah, and stuff I probably don't need, but I put it up there just in case. So,
Oh,
all right, so we've got that. So job seeker, let me just note that we will we'll do something like this in job seeker as well. So except that's for address. I'm going to say address because we have has one, so
has one.
the attributes will be address, not addresses. Objective all blank, allow destroys true. That's probably pretty much what we want there. So I'll make that change. So
You are supposed to do a migration, or we do that later?
well, you'll probably want to do a migration. I'll let you do that. So the other thing I wanted to, so let's look at the job seeker controller. Okay, so job seeker controller, we have create. Yeah, so we have new. Let me compare that to company controller.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. So what are we doing here? Let's find the new action. Okay, that's a bad example because we're actually. Yeah, let me see if I can find another example.
They're all in the models.
In fact, branch is even a better example because it has only one address. Yeah, let's do that. So let's not use companies. Let's use branches. Yeah, so let's use branches. So new.
Yeah.
Okay, so we authorize branch.new. Yeah, okay. So the key thing I wanted to show you before we actually paint the form, put up the form for branch, to create a new branch, we do this. Also with edit. So why are we doing that?
Just a minute. Oh, we build.
We don't make it, we build it.
Okay.
So the reason we do that is, if I can, I know it's getting a bit busy here, but Unreal's, where's my guides? Go to this. Yeah. Actually, let me just, that's not too bad. This, try to find, should have an example of that. In fact, I'm probably going to have trouble finding it, but okay.
Should it not be somewhere in the associations?
It might be. You may be right.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Yeah, I can try the association.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, so let's now search for Bill. We've got 34 matches on it. Okay, that's not related. Yeah. We've got all that.
But I think this is it. Huh?
What you found out?
Well, collection.build. Oh, I'm actually looking at your screen.
Oh, you are? Okay, I thought you'd put a link in there.
Yeah, so we have books. Just go forward a bit. Yeah, collection.build. Method returns a single array of new objects associated with the type. So we have at book equal, yeah?
That just says that we have a method that we can collection.build. We can do, branch.build in order to create an object without saving it, an associated object without saving it. But that's not what I really wanted to do.
Okay.
What I wanted to show was, let's see. Oops, did we lose you? Oh, we're back.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give up on that. So let's just talk to it. Okay. So what happens here is that we want the view to allow us to enter information for a branch, either a new branch that we're creating, or a branch that we're editing that does not yet have a branch, an address. So what we do is we build a branch object that's empty. Let's follow the new. So we just call build address. We now have an address associated with branch, but it's empty and it has not been saved. That allows us then to, in the view, present the fields for the address so that the user can enter data into the fields. So you need to build. So if you do not have, and on new we don't have an address, so we go ahead and build it. If you're editing a branch and it does not have an address yet, then we do the same thing. That's important because you need to create an empty structure for the data fields that are in the form to go into. So that's what's going on there.
So you build address unless there's an address belonging to that branch.
Yeah, if I've already got an address for this branch, it's already there, so the user can edit the fields. But otherwise, I build it. So I have an empty model that can be populated by the user. And so let's look at the view.
Okay, just before you leave this page, a question out of this, line 33.
Yeah.
At line 33, I can see redirect to root path and return. So this and, I'm used to using it as a logical operator, mostly for Boolean, true or false, not as telling me that I should do this then the other action. I'm getting what I'm asking.
Yeah, so you can use it in this way. You can just, if this is true, then go ahead and execute whatever this is. And if that actually is a return of the method, it'll go ahead and execute that. It doesn't really matter either way.
Okay, so it,
what I probably would have done was I would have written it like that, just to make it clearer.
Yeah, actually, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, that's what I would have done because I think that's a little obscure, like what's going on there. But you know, I mean, the key thing is just because you call redirect, that doesn't mean you've actually left this method. It'll still execute the rest of it.
To still execute at branch self dot.
Yeah,
anything.
People kind of think of redirects or things like direct or render as go-tos, like it just leaves the method here. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that this is not necessarily a good way to write that. I would have written it on a separate line.
Okay.
So anyway, let's go look at views, branches, form. So I guess we're doing this in a separate partial, which is fine. So address form is branch form. So we're setting up this branch. So this form here is called branch form. Up here.
Oh yeah.
And actually, just a little bit of indirection, but we're setting up this instance var that is available to the partial called address form. and we're just making it equal to this branch form. We have a variable that references this form here. That's setting up this instance var, so this instance variable is available in this partial. So it's a little bit awkward to follow, but that's essentially what's happening.
Okay.
So if I go to address form,
Address form.
let me save this. Then, as you can see, I've got address form fields for. Now, I don't have field. Excuse me. Go back here. I have form for here. For a subform that I'm collecting attributes for an associated record for, I have fields for. That's the key difference. So this is being executed within a larger form that's defined here for the branch, form for branch. And then here, I could do it. It could have been done in line here, but here we're doing a partial thing. Within the form, if I have fields that I want to collect for an associated object, then I use the parent form dot fields for.
Not fields for.
So, and then fields for name. What's fields for name?
The symbol.
Fields for name is passing in address. So that's basically symbol address is what they're saying. This is an awkward way to do it. I'm not sure we're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it this way, but anyway, you get the idea. So this is essentially, oops, wrong direction.
Sorry.
It's essentially saying fields for, address. So
Okay.
the Ruby looks at this, okay, Rails looks at this, okay, fields for address. What's address? Address is an associated record, associated model. For the object associated with the form, which is branch. And so it'll look back and say, oh yeah, branch.
Branch, the something we created, we built an address.
Exactly, but also, look at branch. Branch has one address. So there's the field, there's the symbol. And now Rails will know that it can look up the fields for that associated model and then allow us to collect data for that associated model. Within the parent branch model form, we actually have kind of a subform for address because we've set it up between the model association and in the controller, we've created an empty address if we don't have an address yet.
Yeah.
So those fields will now show up when we edit the branch. In fact, let's try that. Will this actually start? I think I have code in there that we fiddle with that won't break me here. It will start. Okay, great. So let's go to this thing. So let me see. I will. I'll log in as the agency administrator. Let's do that. So agency branches, I'll say add a branch. And here, the only thing that I actually pulling up from the branch form directly is a branch code.
It's a branch code.
And that's it. The rest of this stuff is all being pulled up because there are fields associated with the address, the associated model. So we look at address, address form, street, city, state, etc. These are associated not with the branch, but with the address.
What is the address?
Yep. And we can now collect.
Okay, I'm a bit.
So this is the
branch
only
code.
This is the only field that we're collecting for the branch model.
From the
That's the only field it's got directly. But because it's associated with the address, we can collect fields associated with the address model because address is associated with branch.
Oh, okay.
The way that we did there.
Yep, I get it now.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. It's a little bit confusing, but
So I had never seen fields for before. So it actually adds fields to the existing model, to the existing object.
Well, field 4 says this is an associated model for the parent model, and the parent model, of course, is branch. And so we want to collect data for the associated model. We declare that with fields 4. So this is not a form by itself. It's kind of a subform buried within the parent form. The parent form is this thing. If you remember, again, that's bad naming convention, but the parent form is branch form. The branch form is for the branch. And here we're just using this variable called address form to point to branch form.
Oh, okay. That's what happens at line 11.
Yeah, in fact, this could actually be branch form. So within the parent form for branch, I have the fields for an associated object. These fields are associated with these fields here are associated with this associated object, not with branch. But branch is associated with this model, so I can collect fields data for the fields for this associated object. That's all it's saying. And then I can go through and I can list the fields for address, and I can collect them at the same, or edit them at the same time I'm collecting fields for the parent, which in this case is just branch code.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it now.
It's a bit confusing, but that's what's happening. It's fairly simple once you put it together. I know in the Rails guide there was a better, somewhere there's a good explanation of what's going on here with collecting fields for an associated object. That magic basically requires this to be entered into your model, nested attributes. So
nested attributes.
you can think of it, I've got attributes for address, and they are nested within the form for the job seeker in this case. So I've got a form for job seeker, but nested within that is like a little subform for fields associated with address. So that's what this is saying. So when I get to my form for job seeker, I can actually collect data for this subform because I've declared I want to accept nested. I want to be able to edit nested attributes for this this object. Essentially. Yeah, that's essentially what it is. So without this, here the fields for will fail. It'll throw an exception. It'll say you haven't declared that you want to collect data for this associated field, this associated model within the form for the parent model. So that's important to have that in place. Once you do, you can do the fields for, create a little subform in effect within the parent form. That's what's happening. Let me see. Where is that? Here. That. Too many windows. Got too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Here it is. Yep. So this is Tong Wei's original story here. So when she says address field is missing in the form, that's what she's referring to. So in order to get the address fields showing up on this form, we have to do the nested attributes business.
Nested attributes.
And then we have to create a little subform using fields for seeker form.
Yeah.
And then when we do that, we can collect data for the address of the job seeker.
Okay,
and in the controller, you have to, the first time when you create a job seeker, in the controller, you use the build model to create an empty address. And so the address fields will show up. They will not have data, but they'll show up so that you can enter data. If you don't create that empty address in the controller, then even though you've declared in the view that you want to collect data, you won't see anything because Rails will detect that it doesn't have an object to assign to the data in the subform, and it won't show the subfield. It sounds complicated, but actually, when you put it together and stand back and look at it, you're going to say, "Oh yeah, this is pretty straightforward." There's just some pieces I have to put together to get there.
So that was it. Because first of all, the first error that I kept getting over and over was instead of using has one, I repeatedly used belongs to.
Oh yeah, where's the belong? The foreign key is in the address side, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there was an error that I can't have as when using belongs to,
Yeah. And that's
but I'm
that's
supposed to do
exactly
has
right.
one.
That's exactly right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was a starting point.
Yeah.
And then you want to do accept nested attributes.
Yeah. Actually, I could not go past that because what you've done in line 7, I used belongs to. It kept on throwing errors. I could not go past that point.
Yep, that
I
stopped
did.
you.
Yeah. I didn't even think of trying has one. I don't know. I don't know. I looked in the documentation. I saw that belongs to does not accept as. The way we used as location, it doesn't
I got
accept
you.
it. Yeah.
The other
Then,
thing,
go ahead.
so I just noticed the job seeker model already has an accepted nested attributes for address. That's interesting.
For address. Ah, okay.
That was already there, or did I put
Yeah,
that
it
in?
was, yeah. No, it was already there.
It was already there. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's interesting. So we already. So I'm just wondering if we need this reject if all blank allow destroy true. I don't think we need that complexity, and because we're not validating the presence of the address,
Uh-huh.
I think reject if all blank. That means if the user doesn't fill out the address fields, we come back with a model error saying you need to fill out the address. However, we don't require the presence of an address in any of this model here. We're not validating presence of address or anything like that. So I actually think we don't need that stuff. All we really need is accept nested attributes for address. That would do it.
That would be okay.
Yeah, that would do
And
it. That would,
so, how will we do the R spec and the cucumber tests just to cover everything that we've done so far? I'm not that conversant with tests, so I don't know when to test and when not to test.
got it. Okay, so let's use branches as, I don't know if branches is well tested or not. Let's poke around at that. Since this seems to be a good model otherwise, what you want to do. So let's look at branch model tests. See, expected to have one address. Yes, so you can add that association if it's not already there. So let me also look at job seeker spec. So here, this validation here has to change from belong to address to have one address.
And line 14 too has to change.
Line 40, yes, exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Let me just kill some of my windows.
Windows.
Too darn busy. Anyway, branch spec. Yep. So what else are we doing here? Not there's much else we need to. Oh, one thing we do want to do. We want to confirm that when a branch is destroyed, that the associated address is destroyed.
It's destroyed.
So that's per branch. For job seeker, it'd be the same thing. So in job seeker spec, job seeker spec, what are we checking here? Up here. By the way, we are recording this. Good.
Yeah, we're recording.
I will send you. I'll let you have the link. Sometimes my recordings fail to show up on the AV site, so I'll make sure you have the link.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you'd want to do here is similar to branch spec. That when you create a branch and it has an address associated with it, when you destroy that branch, you want to make sure that the dependent destroy stuff works.
Yeah.
Well, I keep saying branch, but I mean job seeker, right?
Job seeker. Yeah.
We want to confirm that this is working. We don't want to leave an orphan address around if the job seeker goes away. So there's that. let me look at what are we doing in the controller tests for branches. That, this is all authorization stuff. You don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. Maybe describe new. Get new.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So, you probably want to, and this is not doing this, but you probably want to make sure that we assign something to a variable that represents the empty address. So, do I have branches controller still around? Yeah. Well, maybe that's not that important. So what are we doing in this controller? We are authorizing.
This is actually for branch. This is for branch, not for job seeker.
Right. So let's look at job seeker controller. Where's my job seeker? Did I delete that? No, I did not. So we're not doing a lot here, are we? I don't know if there's much to test, to be honest.
Yeah. For the new, there's not much.
Yeah, let's see. So the new edit, what are we doing here? We're not too worried about address stuff here.
For the edit, you don't add the address.
For the address edit, of course, we will. I think it would be useful to add a test that confirms once we. Well, it wouldn't be for edit; it would be for update, right?
For updates, yeah.
Edit doesn't do a lot either. It's more
for create and update.
Yeah, for the create and update. So for the update, for instance, we'd want to create a job seeker. We want to call update on that, assuming, acting like parameters coming in from a form. In that, we want to change one or two fields in the address from the created job seeker. And then we want to expect that the altered job seeker has an address with the altered data in it. So the actual changes in the address came through and were effectively handled by the controller. And that would be both patch and create as well. Create, you want to make sure that the address fields that are coming in for the new job seeker are reflected in the saved job seeker that the controller saves.
Yeah.
That's essentially it. I mean, it can't do a whole lot of, and there's no need to do a whole lot of sophisticated testing beyond that.
Okay. So if
there's obvious stuff you have to do in the model and some fairly obvious stuff you ought to do in the job seeker controller for update and create. In terms of confirming changes to the address. So that's the testing would be pretty straightforward, actually.
Yeah, okay. And we would not really need the cucumber tests for this one.
I would suggest that you probably want to make sure that they show up somewhere. So let's, what kind of tests do we have for job seeker feature? So let's see, what are we doing here? We're doing things like new job seeker registration. Perfect. So I would add to this scenario
the address.
Populate the address field.
Yeah.
And confirm that you're coming in. That they're coming in. Are we editing the job seeker here? Edit, here we go. So I would add some steps to this as well to change the address information and make sure it succeeds. So this is a successful edit of the job seeker. And just add fields to that. Not much. This one you're not going to be able to do much with to confirm that the address is gone, but your model test will confirm that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Will your model test? Oh, no, let's go back. So we talked about, on the controller tests for JobSeeker, we talked about create and update. Let's look at destroy.
Destroy.
Yeah. So this is not a very complete test, actually. This is not good because we should be also confirming that the address
The address is gone.
associated with the job branch was deleted. So you need to add a test such that you confirm the address associated with the destroyed job seeker is also gone.
Of which I think that was done in the model test.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it was
We
done
can do
somewhere.
that. I guess that's
Yeah.
sufficient. We don't need to do that in the controller then.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. We talked about that, but that would be overkill to do that in the controller. Yeah. So I think in job seeker, get out of there. Job seeker feature. Job seeker feature. Yeah. You should add a couple of steps to those two scenarios. Create and edit job seeker.
Okay, so. Okay. So I guess I could start working on it sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, reach out to me if you hit a sticking point. And I know we covered a lot of material here, but let me, in fact. So you got to go, right? And I got to go too.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the broadcast.